Hey Reddit, if someone says tell me a joke, what joke do you tell them? There were 3 medieval kingdoms on the shores of a lake. There was an island in the middle of the lake, over which the kingdoms had been fighting for years. Finally, the 3 kings decided that they would send their knights out to do battle, and the winner would take the island. The night before the battle, the knights and their squires pitched camp and readied themselves for the fight. The first kingdom had 12 knights, and each knight had 5 squires, all of whom were busily polishing armor, brushing horses, and cooking food. The second kingdom had 20 knights, and each knight had 10 squires. Everyone at that camp was also busy preparing for battle. At the camp of the third kingdom, there was only 1 knight, with his squire. This squire took a large pot and hung it from a looped rope in a tall tree. He busied himself preparing the meal, while the knight polished his own armor. When the hour of the battle came, the 3 kingdoms sent their squires out to fight. This was too trivial a matter for the knights to join in. The battle raged, and when the dust had cleared, the only person left was the lone squire from the third kingdom, having defeated the squires from the other 2 kingdoms, thus proving that the squire of the high pot and noose is equal to the sum of the squires of the other 2 sides. Thanks. I hate you just a little bit now. But thanks. What's the most important part of telling a joke? Timing. I didn't expect this to work written out, but it absolutely does. I think I just found my new favorite joke. What did the Buddhist monk say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. The monk hands him a $20 and asks for change. Hot dog vendor says, change comes from within. Thank you, Christopher Hitchens, R.I.P. Some TV reporter actually said this joke to the Dalai Lama, who didn't understand it since he didn't speak English very well. It was awkward. Hey, that's weird. I've always heard that one, but instead of hot dogs, it was pizza. Isn't it funny how jokes get around, pun unintended? It's definitely better with pizza in my opinion. Old but gold. I think this one works better out loud than over text, but I'll try. So a man walks into the butcher shop and says to the butcher, I bet you $1,000 you can't reach the meat on the top shelf. The butcher crosses his arms and shakes his head. I always do this as well when I tell the joke, so you can tell it's serious, and says, I'm sorry, sir. I can't take that bet. The stakes are too high. Then I wait for the courtesy laugh. Sometimes I miss the days when I used to be into nostalgia. I'd give this is the darkest or funniest. You ever get that feeling like you've had deja vu before? Seems like you may be developing a taste for nostalgia. Yeah, it's been a really long time since then. I used to think I was indecisive, but these days I'm not so sure. Nostalgia isn't as good as it used to be. A young man is walking through the English countryside. As is common in England, it's been raining on and off all day. As he's passing through a tiny hamlet, he sees an old man sitting on the bench outside a pub. The old man has a bit of string tied to a stick and is dangling it in a puddle. The young man, being a bit worried for the sanity of the older gentleman, asks him, "What are you doing?" The old man thinks about this for a minute, then responds, "Why, young man, I'm fishing." Now even more worried, and with the sky looking ready to start another downpour any minute, the young man says, "Let's get you inside and I'll buy you a pint." After getting him settled at the bar with a pint of ale, and wanting to make some conversation, the young man asks, "So how many have you caught in your fishing?" The old man again thinks for a minute before responding, "You're the 4th one today." What is white and disturbs dinner? An avalanche. Also like Jimmy Fallon. I have a cat named Avalanche. This joke is accurate. A famous Spanish magician was performing before an audience. The crowd waited in anticipation as he announced his next trick. He would make himself disappear. Slowly, he began to count. Dos. He disappeared without a trace. The marvelous Mrs. Maisel used this joke brilliantly. This This wins. This joke can only be read in a gringo accent. What do you call four Mexicans in quicksand? Cuatro cinco. You set up this joke really well. What do we want? Low-flying airplane noises. When do we want them? Meow. What do we want? Time travel. When do we want it? Irrelevant. Why did the woman fall into the well? Because she couldn't see that well. Why did the scarecrow win an award? He was outstanding in his field. Edit, I'm bad at jokes. This gave me a good chuckle. Thanks, smile. A poor traveler is walking down a path in the middle of the woods alone at night, when suddenly, a voice shouts out halt. From the darkness, and a figure jumps out on the path. Who goes there? The traveler shouts out to the figure. I am Robin Hood. I steal from the rich and give to the poor. Now give me all that you have. The traveler responds, Sir, I am just a poor traveler, and I have nothing to give you but the clothes off my back. The figure then tosses the man a heavy bag and says, then take this, good sir, and jumps back into the woods. The traveler opens the bag and finds it full of gold and exclaims, wow, I'm rich. Halt. This one is very stupidly funny. Love it. Three engineers are arguing about what kind of engineer God was. The electrical engineer says, God was an electrical engineer. Look at how our brain controls our limbs, our body is all wires. The mechanical engineer says, God was a mechanical engineer. Look at how the limbs work, the joints, the articulations. Our body is all simple machines. The municipal engineer says, God was a municipal engineer. Look at our reproductive system. Who else would run a sewer line through a playground? Yeah, the way I heard it, he was a civil engineer. Who else would run a toxic waste pipeline right through a recreational zone? An engineer, a lawyer and a doctor are arguing about whose profession is first documented. The doctor claims that the Old Testament is one of the earliest written records and Eve was created from Adam's rib, so it was an act of medicine. The engineer says, but before there was anything there was chaos, and resolving the chaos would take an engineer. The lawyer smiles and says, who do you think caused the chaos? Why did the chicken cross the road? To see an idiot. Knock knock. Who's there? The chicken. Why did the chicken cross the road, roll in the dirt, and cross the road again? Because he was a dirty double-crosser. My niece's joke she told me when she was a little kid. Still my favorite chicken joke. This is my 10-year-old brother's go-to. Hey, at least it's not the interrupting cow. Knock knock. Who's there? Interrupting cow. Interrupting moo. Did you hear about the mathematician who is afraid of negative numbers? He'll stop at nothing to avoid them. A mechanical, chemical, electrical, and software engineer are all out for a nice drive when a car breaks down. The mechanical engineer says, I'm sure I heard a noise. Something must have broken. The chemical engineer says, oh no, I think we just run out of fuel. The electrical engineer says, no no no, there must be a bad circuit since we just lost power. The software engineer sits back and ponders for a while before saying, why don't we all get out, then get back in again. A slice of pie is $1.60 in the Bahamas and $1.30 in Jamaica. Those are the pirates of the Caribbean. Corn is only a buccaneer, though. It are pirates if a slice costs $3.14. Amazing. This is the only one so far to make me laugh. Get out. Egg. I don't get it. What's a pirate's favorite letter? You'd think it would be R, but 'tis the C they love. This is the best one. Helium walks into a bar. The waiter says, get out, we don't serve gases in here. Helium doesn't react. Such a noble response. Why did Jupiter have a stomachache? It was full of gas. Did you know I can cut wood just by looking at it? It's true, I saw it with my own eyes. This one's my favorite. My go-to joke, what thinks the unthinkable? Annie the bug. Pronunciation, accent type jokes. They're underappreciated. One of my favorites is from an old Dilbert comic, What Happened to Diversity? The longer you work here, diverse it gets. What do you call a deer with no eyes? No idea. Then I follow it up with, what do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs? Still no idea. What do you call a cow with 2 legs? Lean beef. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. What do you call a dog with no legs? Doesn't matter, he's not going to come. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more Reddit content like this, please subscribe and like this video. I guess I will see you in the next one.